Broadcasting live from somewhere in the Shadow Realm, this is YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Here's your host, Doug Dimmadoo.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Today, we're going to take a look at a deck build that I've been messing around with and really gives a lot of people fits if they don't have the right cards to counter this specific deck. It's the Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 8 deck, and I gotta tell you, this thing is really good, and I've enjoyed playing it. I don't have necessarily a complete set of all of the pieces yet, as far as I'm concerned, but even just with the deck build that I have, I did already go through Unbox Reset. I'm still waiting to get that third copy of Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 6, and in true Konami fashion, they are holding out on me. I got about 65 packs left in the second box, and I still don't have my third one yet. It's been killing me, but hopefully sooner than later I will get it, and I'll have an updated version of this deck. But for now, I did end up getting multiple copies of Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 8. So starting off with that, it's the ultra rare out of the box set, Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 8 dragon, of course, 3000 attack, 1800 defense. It cannot be normal summoned or set, and must first be special summoned, by Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 6, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. During either player's turn, when a spell card is activated, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. You must control this face-up card to activate and resolve this effect. So, this card is great when you get out there. You don't necessarily want it in your hand. That's why ideally, you could run this deck with just one copy of this card. But I like to have two, because a lot of times the opponent will come up with some kind of answer to get rid of the Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 8, probably through monster effect typically. And, that's no good. So having a backup is always a good thing. So at least in this deck, I do run the two copies. But in my experience playing this deck for, a good day or so, I always end up with at least one copy of level 8 in my hand somehow, some way. It's just funny how that turns out. Next, I got two copies of Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 6. This card goes really good on its own, even in a typical regular dragon deck too, because it doesn't have a special summon requirement. It is level 6, it's 2300 attack, 1600 defense, and this card is unaffected by spell effects. That doesn't just mean that your opponent can't just target this monster, kind of like how Freed, the Matchless General is, how a spell card has to target the card. This one is just unaffected by spell effects, so really just about anything that maybe not even specifically target this monster still doesn't affect it, so that's a really cool effect. During the end phase, if this card destroyed a monster by battle this turn, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard and special summon one Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 8 from your hand or deck. So that's the nice part too. If you're able to run over an opponent's monster, you're able to then send this card to the graveyard and get out your Horus level 8 from either your hand or your deck. And it's just a really good setup, and this card on its own can be very potent as well. Next card I run here is a Flame Tiger. I run multiple copies of this one. I run two copies right now. It's a level 4 beast with 1800 attack, 0 defense. During your draw phase, if this card is in your graveyard and you control no monsters, instead of conducting your normal draw, you can special summon this card, and if you do, banish it when it leaves the field. So this at least gets you a good setup. If you leave it out there and face down, your opponent takes the bait on the first turn, puts it in the graveyard, you can bring it back out if you already have a Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 6 in your hand also. That way you're able to tribute over it, bring out your level 6, maybe attack over your opponent's monster, and then bring out the bad boy level 8. So that's really the trick. And there's also a control element to this deck that I like to add two copies of Sergeant Electro. And this card's a level 4 machine, 1600 attack, 1300 defense out of the Flame Tyrant box set. Once per turn, you can target one face-down card in your opponent's spell and trap card zone. While this card is face-up on the field, its target or targets cannot be activated. So what this does is it locks up your opponent's back row, turn by turn. If you're able to get two of these guys out on the field, then you're really locking things down, and this card works out great. There's other methods too, other monsters that don't allow your opponent to play trap cards. I know you got that one dragon that does the thing, but it only limits it to just not being able to use trap cards during the battle phase. So that's why I like to run Sergeant Electro. I think it's just an all-around better card as far as back row lockdown, because this deck really does turn into good control, because when you have your Horus, the Black Flame Dragon level 8 out there, you're able to negate any spell cards, and then hopefully any trap cards that need a turn delayed before being used. Your Surge and Electro can cover those bases as well. So it's just a real good 1-2 combo. Then what I like to do is I like to run one copy of Kid Mono Dragon just for the heck of it. You already know what this is. If it's sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one dragon type monster from your hand, and the thing is then you can't conduct your battle phase that turn. But the real cool thing is that I've been able to utilize this every once in a while. If I have my Kid Mono out there, and then I have my Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 6 in my hand, I'll have its effect activated during my opponent's turn and send out level 6 onto the field, and boom, you're in real good shape. Then I also run 2 copies of Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 4. This guy can also get things started real fast, but it's only got a 1600 attack. But if it does run over an opponent's monster, then you could send this card to the graveyard and special summon a Horus level 6 from your hand or deck. So yeah, this is a good facilitator to get things going as well. It's going to take a little longer, but it could work. So that's why I like to run a few stall cards in here, one of which is a copy of Super Rush Headlong. You target one face-up monster you control and declare one attribute. If that target battles an opponent's monster with that attribute this turn, destroy that opponent's monster at the start of the damage step. So I like to do that as a stall tactic. I also like to run the 2 copies of Enemy Controller, where if my opponent sends out a real strong monster but with a real weak defense, I like to try and switch the position. That way the next turn I could run into it with my Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 4, hopefully triggering its effect to keep my combos going. I also like to run a copy of Floodgate Trap Hole because I only have one copy right now. That's the other card that in my second box of Generation Next, Konami is holding out on giving me my second copy. So I still have one for right now. I do run the 1 copy of Mirror Wall since that's what I have. But here's what I like to do too. I like to run 2 copies of the Golden Apples in this deck. Maybe in a first turn, I have a level 6 in my hand, and maybe I got some other cards, but depending on what happens, I may want to utilize my opponent's monsters trying to attack into my life points directly. You activate this card, you set up in defense position, and then the next turn I'll tribute over it and still have whatever other monsters I have in my hand ready to rock. But also, I do run, to round things out, 2 copies of Metal Morph. I just got my 3rd copy from my super rare ticket, so I may end up adding a 3rd one in there. But yeah, this card's real good. You target one face-up monster on the field and equip this card to that target. It gains 300 attack and defense. If it attacks, it gains attack equal to half the attack of the target during the damage calculation only. So this is the kind of card that I want to equip to my Black Flame Dragon level 4 or my Black Flame Dragon level 6, really triggering the effect to really try and make my way up to level 8 and really just start negating my opponent's spell cards. But this deck worked out really great. The skill that I use, and there are tons of skills you can use with this deck, but I like to run Restart just because I have the 2 copies of level 8 and I don't want my hand to be all clogged with 1 or 2 copies of level 8, so that's why I'll tend to use Reset to try and get those out and give myself another attempt to draw into something a little bit better to start the game. So that's kind of the strategy behind that. But at the end of the day, the big ticket is to get level 8 onto the field, but also if you're just able to get level 6 onto the field, you can do really, really well. Now, I'll see people run this deck having Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 6 out there using the beatdown skill, and that's real good too, because as long as you just have this card on the field, you're talking about a 2600 attack when you're entering your battle phase, and that should be enough to get you over quite a few monsters. On its own, because I'm using Restart, it's got that 2300 attack, and in a meta right now where it seems like a lot of the big boss monsters, or the more common boss monsters that you're seeing, Red Eyes Black Dragon, you're seeing what's that card? You're seeing a few other ones. You're seeing Dark Flare Dragon. You're seeing the Phoenix card coming out of the graveyard. They all seem to have 2400 attack. So when your Horus, the Black Flame Dragon level 6, is sitting there with 2300 attack, it may be a little more difficult to get over. That's why you'll see people, really trying to utilize cards like Metal Morph and trying to utilize cards like Enemy Controller to kind of mitigate the fact that, your opponent's probably going to have some 2400 attack monsters out there at least. So, just something to keep an eye out for when you're running this deck. That's kind of the trouble that I ran into, but you try and work around that. But at the end of the day, if you're able to get your 3000 attack level 8 onto the field, then you're in really, really good shape, especially if you're able to get Surge and Electro out onto the field as well to start locking down that back row. You're really, really in control. barring any type of maybe DD Warrior or Yomi ship or something like that could potentially run into your level 8 and destroy it that way. So you never know, but that's why I will see people run copies of this deck with Card Guard. Now, Card Guard would work really well, comboing out here with Black Flame Dragon level 8, keeping it from being destroyed through monster effect at least, putting a counter on it, which would be just a fantastic thing to have. However, when I reset my box, I still did not get Card Guard as of yet. I was really still trying to focus on getting all my Horus pieces, so I will be able to get at least one copy of Card Guard, and I will definitely consider adding it to this deck. I feel like that is just a really, really good card for this setup. It'll really protect your monster from just about any situation that your opponent can throw at you. And that's really kind of the whole thing. It really puts you, the player, in control if you're able to get those pieces out onto the field that they need to be. So anyway, that's kind of my rundown of the Horus deck. If you've run a similar type deck, I'd like to hear about it. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at YuGiOh Deck Talk. It's all one word, at YuGiOh Deck Talk, and love to bring it up in a future episode. But anyway, that's it for today's episode. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.